pizza.
Yeah. Until it tried to kill me. Anyway, all right, let's do it.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone,
Hi-yo.
and welcome to the Funbox Monster Podcast. My name is Tristan.
I am Matt Awkward.
And today we are doing a movie that is controversial, or at least is controversial between Matt and I.
Yeah.
It is the movie Invaders from Mars, the 19...
remake. From Tobe Hooper.
The Tobe Hooper remake.
The Tobe Hooper 1980 remake.
9? 88?
I don't know,
Something
87?
like that. I can't remember.
It's
Fuck,
around
I
that
should have
time.
written that down, but I didn't. But man, that's so funny. It's so funny that we have this completely... I mean, you like the first part.
I love the first part. I love in this movie is a me problem, not the movie problem. I think it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie whatsoever. It's just I just don't like the direction it goes with the army guys. I wish something different happened. I almost wish like he had I've never seen Goonies, but I know what it's kind of about. I almost wish he had like a group of kids that was like this his Goonies buddies, and he stops them with that instead of just like here's 100 dudes with machine guns. Like neat. Like I kind of want. Something more than that. The hundreds dudes with the machine guns bored me. All the army maneuvers they were doing, it almost turned into a war picture, and I'm just like, fucking snooze fest at the end.
I understand that feeling. I really enjoyed. I wish that there were effects for a lot of the stuff. Like I felt like the thing that it fell down on again because it wanted to be a PG movie.
Yeah,
it wanted to be accessible for kids because it is a kids horror movie.
It is a kids horror movie.
At the end of the day, this is a horror movie for children, meant to hit that thing in a kid's brain that is like, oh my God, that moment when you realize that not all adults are to be trusted. What if my parents aren't to be trusted? Oh my God, what if the police might do bad things sometimes?
And it's cool. I mean, I also wonder if I would enjoy it more if I actually did see it when I was a kid. This one escaped me until this week when I watched it for the first time for this podcast.
It might be because I saw it when I was young that I watched it at a younger age, and it hit me right square in the oh my God, it's like childhood fears and it's filmed in such a way. I was also a fan of the original version.
I've never seen that one either.
Before seeing this version, so I had a lot of things stacking up that I would have liked this movie, but man, this is such a favorite movie of mine.
It's also got that nice edge that kids' movies don't have anymore. It first starts out and he's just swearing up a storm with his dad watching stars, and I'm just like, yeah, back in the 80s, and that I can imagine watching this as a kid back in the 80s, that'd be cool. I'd be like, oh my God, that kid gets to swear with his dad. That's awesome. I wish I could swear. I got literal soap in my mouth if I swore, and I'm watching this kid and I'm just like, so I would imagine that would be awesome if I saw that when I was 10, fuck, I want to be swearing like that.
Yes. No, I mean, this movie is so good at presenting a mood, and it's so intentionally fake, and it's so processed in plastic and 50s and Atom Age. And there's so much about it that just hits me in so many things that I love.
Oh, and I love the look of it.
And I gotta say, you want to know my big takeaway from watching this with an eye towards actually doing a podcast as opposed to just watching it in the background. When I was I watched this thing and I'm like, man, I love the direction. I love the way that he's done all of this shit. And I was like, wait a minute. Didn't I just say a year ago in a podcast or a while back that I didn't believe that fucking Tobe Hooper had done anything for Poltergeist?
Yeah. And
then I watched this and I was like, this looks like Poltergeist. Shit. I bet Tobe Hooper did a fuck ton for Poltergeist.
Yeah. Has that ever been officially said?
No, it hasn't.
Especially now that Tobe has passed, if anybody's keeping secrets, I'm just wondering if anybody's came out and been like, okay, yes, Tobe did shit.
I haven't heard that. If anybody has that information, please share.
I would love to hear it.
But I have not heard anybody say that. All I know is that at the time there were rumors that basically Steven Spielberg was responsible for everything, that he was he was backseat driving the whole production.
That's what I heard.
And the more that I look at this movie specifically, it's like, oh, this guy was perfectly capable of making Poltergeist. Yeah. Clearly.
Stephen King was pulling strings on this one too. I mean, Spielberg.
Stephen King pulls all the strings.
Pull the strings.
Oh my God! Everything comes back to the Elvira pinball machine. Okay, let's talk about Invaders from Mars.
Okay.
We see this is one of the few movies that MGM did with Canon Pictures. because they got so screwed on that deal when they started distributing Canon. But you see that Canon logo come up, and you're gonna get some fucking crap, and it's like,
but fun crap.
Exactly. But you know that they're gonna bring something that you're like, it's not gonna be the smartest movie I've ever seen.
Oh no, it's a crap cannon.
Yeah.
It shoots crap.
It shoots poop.
But if you watch a bunch of poop get shot, that's fun.
It sure is.
As long as you're not getting hit by it.
That Electric Boogaloo, that documentary, amazing. First off,
did you watch that today to figure
I
out?
did. I rewatched it. It wasn't what I had thought it was.
Oh, okay.
I had hoped that there was a better anecdote from it. It was that they went to watch King's. What was that? The King Solomon movie that Alan Quartermain.
Oh, yep.
That movie. They were watching a screening of that, and Golan is like, why are the women are beautiful? What is this? They're supposed to be hideous. What is going on here? This isn't frightening at all. And he thought that he was watching Invaders from Mars. He was like, and he just refused to admit that he didn't know which movie he was talking about when he went into it, and never corrected himself. Very, very on brand for those dudes. Anyway.
Very, very not on brand for a film producer who is successful, though. Like, oh, these women are beautiful. What the hell's wrong with you guys?
Well, there were supposed to be giant meatball critters, is what he thought. Anyway, okay. So we get some crazy Superman the Motion Picture flying credits, which is really fun. It must have cost a fortune to make those credits at the time.
Hey, I didn't think of that.
But we see Toby Hooper, Karen Black, Golan and Globus, written by Dan O'Bannon, effects by Stan Winston.
Yeah, that's some pedigree here.
This is like 3 hat tricks. This is the most awesomeness that.
Oh, and my boy Bud Cort.
And Bud Cort is in it too. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing, amazing pile of people.
Yeah. And
Lorraine Newman, who I'll talk about in a minute.
Who's been on our show before when we covered Witchboard 2.
That's true. So it was interesting.
Yeah, she's been on the show.
She came on. Anyway, so we get that scene we were talking about with the dad and his kid watching falling stars, and they're loving it, and they're just like best buddies, and they get along very well. They know each other quite well. The father is very forgiving and not an uptight parent. Lots of little clues of like when somebody gets,
Yeah, they really do establish his
Yeah.
character fantastically within 1 minute.
Absolutely. And mom comes out and interrupts the boys' night. She's played, as we said, by Lorraine Newman from the original SNL. And we get all these little setups that are like, mom is nice, dad is nice, they're all friendly, wonderful people, and it will be very clear even to the stupidest audience member when they stop being...
It won't be clear to her when her husband turns, though. Takes her a little time.
But I mean, in her defense, come on though. Like, I mean, if somebody in your, like, I can understand being like, what's going on? What's wrong? Why are you being like this? Mm-hmm. Why are you being a dick? What is happening?
Yeah.
It would take a lot for me to jump to my wife has become an alien. Like, if she was acting like
that'd
an
be
asshole.
The first thing I thought.
That'd be the first. Okay, that's fine. I mean,
I watch too many movies.
To each his own. But either way, we go into the kid's bedroom, and he's got that 80s capsule, like time capsule bedroom.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what his bed sheet was? It had like red space stations on it. I didn't know if it was just
I don't think,
a generic thing or was
I think it was probably more of this stuff. The thing that they don't really hit home that I wish they had kind of pushed a little harder is the NASA thing. Because we never really learn that, like, there's...
Because his dad works there, right?
His dad works at NASA.
He's got a, like, NASA patch on the bed.
This, like,
yeah.
And he works there, right? And it's like, that's supposed to be very obvious.
Yeah, but, like, what's he do?
But it is not. He's a research scientist at NASA. That's all we know.
Oh, okay.
And he's on a first name basis with the general at the base.
Mad Dog.
So, if you know Mad Dog, you know,
you
gotta be high up. So, son and dad hang out before he goes to sleep, and dad's like, oh, I got a surprise for your coin collection. Interesting. Oh, that coin might come in handy at some point. Interesting. So,
it does.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a big storm outside, and the kid goes to close his window after the dad leaves, and there's a big fucking techno-organic hive ship that starts landing in the backyard.
Love what this thing looks like.
So beautiful.
This shot of that, like, I don't know, is this a miniature or is this, I don't know how they did it, but why does it look so freaking weird? Like that walkway to the hill.
Oh, because
is that just all model or is that just a weird looking shot? But either way, like, I just love what it looks like.
I do not know. All I know is that it looks exactly like the one from the original movie. It is like an exact reproduction of what it looks like from that kid's bedroom to the backyard. It's like they took that. It's almost as though the set was there and they just literally filmed it. It's so perfect.
I just love what that.
Yeah.
I can't explain it either. It's just got a weird feel on film looking at that one shot.
And that's again, that's
it's
part
a very surreal quality to it. Like,
it's brilliant because again, this is like a child's mind and a child's nightmare, and it's like all these things are they're almost two-dimensional. Like the things that you're looking at, they're like the fact that they're set pieces amps up the idea that you're in a reality that you're unstable in, that you're shaky in, as opposed to being like, oh, that looks silly. It, for a kid, I think at least, it sets you up in a like, why does this look like this? This doesn't look like what I'm expecting it to look like. Because for me personally, I was never afraid of horror movies as a kid. I used to watch horror movies all the time. The only thing that ever gave me nightmares was Doctor Who episodes and one episode of Magnum PI where he turned into the Fly. Because they came from out of nowhere. And I think the Doctor Who episode was because everything looked so janky. I was just like, what is this? Like, this looks like it's being filmed live and everybody's in weird costumes and these adults are behaving very strangely. It's like, so I think that really works for me. But like the hive has flashing disco lights. Again, this is all very much like the original. And it's got tons of layers and holes, and it looks sort of like an anthill beehive, termite nest kind of thing. It's very insectile. His window slams shut of its own volition, and he runs to his parents, and he's like, blah, 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 all the crazy shit. And as this happens, I'm like, oh, Lorraine Newman. This literally in my notes. I was like, Lorraine Newman, why isn't she in more stuff? And the second I like wrote that in my notes, she goes, and yawns the fakest fucking yawn I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, that's why. Yep, that's why.
But I mean, she's been in over like 200 things.
But I mean, she's never had like a good role.
Which is a shame, because I love her.
I love her. I do too. I think she's great, but I think she's good as a sketch actress. And I feel like that doesn't necessarily always translate to like main character status. She's gonna be a good wacky best friend.
Yep.
In a lot of movies. Anyway.
Everybody needs a fat best friend.
Everybody needs a fat best friend. Okay. So mom's in the kitchen doing house budget or something.
Sure.
And dad comes out acting nice and weird.
Here's the thing. Like, she never even brings it up, though. Like you said, you're not going to just be like, oh, husband, did you turn into an alien? But, like...
Oh, sure.
Does she even say for a second, like, you're acting kind of weird today, honey? Like, she doesn't say anything.
No, she literally is like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's her first thing. But
like,
again, she is distracted for this scene. Then when he starts acting weird at the table, she's like, are you okay? And then it does get a little like, blah, blah, blah. But this isn't that kind of movie. This isn't the kind of movie where, like, it necessarily needs to make sense. Again, because of the surreal nature of all this stuff.
Because, like, kid realizes he's Wonko from the start. From the get-go. Like,
and that's the other part, is that, like, this is about how he feels alone, and it's further isolating him that his mother's not understanding the thing that he's seeing. That he's seeing something wrong, and she's like, whatever, and that further is a scary thing for a kid.
Okay.
I mean, for me, these are my personal feelings on it. Again, I fucking love this movie, so I'm going to be defending it a lot.
I'm not going to be shitting on it. Like, I don't hate it. I mean, like I said, it's...
Yeah.
The things I have a problem with are my problems, not the movie. The movie's fine.
Yeah, Dad basically has a sign around his neck that says, I am a
fucking weirdo. Yeah, exactly.
And so Dad evidently last night went out to investigate what was in the back field. Now he has a big hole in the back of his neck.
That hole looks gnarly.
Looks gnarly. And also he's an alien. And Mom leaves. And then as soon as Mom leaves, Dad takes a... This is something that I only know from being as old as I am. Takes an entire container of aspartame and shakes it into his coffee.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They're little aspartame. They used to sell little aspartame pills.
Oh, so it was like, I thought it was like Tic Tacs. I was like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah. Those, like, one of those things that's like the size of
so it's like a sugar cube
it's
kind of thing?
basically like a sugar
Like a fake
cube.
sugar cube.
But like aspartame, the little things that are about the size of a grain of like rice.
Yep.
Each one of those is like a packet of sugar. So he basically put a pound of sugar
Okay.
into his coffee that was scalding hot, and then just in 3 gulps.
Yeah.
And then he crosses his eyes at the end, which was maybe a little too far. I think even for me, that might have been a little much. He kind of Jim Carreys it a little bit,
Yeah.
but there you go. He's not that subtle about his alienness. So Dad takes his son out to meet the bus, and he's like, which he's a bad alien. He's bad at being an alien.
Yeah.
Because he could have just been like, all right, here, he's a kid. Grab him by the arm, drag him out to the
Seriously,
field. Fucking
clock him.
cares.
He's
Who
just like-
cares? Hit him with a frying pan, whatever.
Oh, my kid totally got away from me. Well, oh well.
Because you took him out to the bus.
Yeah. Just one other. What does a mom do? Like, they mentioned several times that she has classes, but like nothing is made of that. Like that just bugged me.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah, the kids. She's like, go to bed. It's a school night. You got school too. She's like, yeah, that's why I'm going to bed. And then later on, she's like, we'll go for a picnic. He's like, you got classes. Like, why do they keep talking about mom and school and classes when you never see mom in a school or a class?
I don't know, just to give her an excuse to not be there. Because if you assume that she's a stay-at-home mom, I mean,
They should just say she's at work.
could have said she was at work. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It bothers me because I want to know what kind of class she's taking.
I do too. It's apparently a
I wouldn't care what
It's
kind
a
of
pod peopleization class.
Yeah, I wouldn't care what kind of job she had. I just want to know what she's learning.
That's fair.
What you learning, Lorraine?
Either way, he goes out to see the bus, but Dad's like, actually, I did go out into the backyard, and there's something very interesting back there, and I'd like to show it to you. He's like, no thanks, I'm going to the bus.
Bye.
But of course, he comes back home afterwards, so
Yeah.
it's like, buddy.
I'm not creepy at all. Come with me.
Maybe Dad's better.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets better after 8 hours of school.
And 30 aspartames.
Yes. So at school, they're dissecting frogs. There's some frog shenanigans. Again, more shit that you can relate to as a kid.
Yep.
People throwing dead frogs at each other in science class.
So, also, I was a little unclear on the start of this fight. Did he... Like, somebody threw a frog at a girl? And he threw it back? Was he defending the girl, or was it...
Basically, yeah.
The motivation here is a little weird. Was the frog meant for him but missed him? But
Yeah, it's like almost...
It's like they made David misbehave, but I don't know why. Because like nobody hit him. He was just sitting there. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a save the cat. It's almost a like, hey, this kid is going to stand up for somebody else. Like, he knows what he
Okay.
believes in, and he's going to be the one that's defending the person who needs defending. He's not going to leave anybody, no man left behind.
Okay.
So that when he goes in and tries to save his parents at the end, you're like, well, of course, he's that kind of kid. But, whatever. It's
Okay.
It's almost a setup. I don't know. But yeah, somebody throws a frog at the girl next to him, and he's like, fuck you, picks it up, throws it at the person, but he gets caught.
And cuts himself accidentally.
And
on a
also, I
scalpel.
think the teacher like manhandles him while he's got the scalpel, and I think that's why he cuts his finger.
No, he cut his finger reaching for the frog. He
right.
cut his finger, picked up the frog, threw it, then he was like, oh, crap, my finger.
Okay. And then the teacher manhandles him afterwards
Yes.
because she is a monster. She's pissed off that he cut himself, and she's like, I hope you need a tetanus shot. So she takes him down to see the school nurse, played by Karen Black.
Yay!
And this, to me, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but to me, this is just amazing casting. Having Karen Black as...
I think it was intentional to hire Karen Black.
Well, to hire her as the reliable, sane, level-headed person in the story.
She fits great for it, yeah.
Because she is not what you expect. you want Karen Black to be the nut job. You want her to be the person who's going, you don't hire Karen Black and say, keep it at like a 3, and they said that. They were like, Karen Black, keep it at a 3. And she does. She keeps it at about a 3 or a 4 for the whole performance.
She sneaks a 5 in every now and then.
She sneaks a couple things. There's a couple moments where she Karen Blacks it up. But I mean, when she plays restrained, she plays restrained.
It's great.
She is not actually a crazy person. She's just good at playing a crazy person. So
that's acting.
She's a great actor.
Yes.
And she also has just like a face that when it goes crazy, it's like, fuck yeah. This is great.
And fun fact, did you know that David is her actual son?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super weird.
Yeah, right? Fun fact.
That's really weird. Wow. That's pretty cool. Anyway, okay. So, okay, so bus drops David at home, and he actually goes in, and this awesome unstable camera work, like everything's like creepy, and like they do such weird shit with the camera as he's walking into the house, and it feels so unstable and so.
As a retro video nerd too, I love the scene of just looking at the old VCRs and stereo and that gigantic wooden TV
big
on the floor.
console TV, hell yeah!
Oh, I miss furniture televisions.
Yep, that is pretty beautiful. So this is definitely a moment when you notice the influence of Nightmare on Elm Street creeping into this movie, and it's kind of all over the place in this movie, in a movie that there's no good reason why this movie would have any Nightmare on Elm Street in it.
Mm-hmm.
But like this whole scene feels like a dream in a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the door slams behind him, which again is a supernatural thing, not an alien thing. They're not telekinetic.
Yeah, that sometimes happens with wind though.
And just like shit keeps happening where like the window slams shut and it's like the door slams shut and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of an interesting film style because it feels like Nightmare. But that movie had a pretty heavy footprint, so not surprising. TV is just set to spooky static, and then David's like, dude, ooh, maybe I can see that naked lady in Life Force. I know this movie. Beep. I can hope my mom doesn't come in.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Ah, balls.
I hope she doesn't come in while the hot naked French lady's there.
That's what always happened as a kid.
But mom spoils his fun watching naked French lady by driving an Omnibot into the room in like the weirdest product placement I think I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah.
She uses the microphone and everything, so it's like, look at all the features in this toy that you could buy at your local Service Merchandise.
Man, it's so crazy. They actually used to advertise those things in Playboy magazine. Like they were for parties and shit. People like directed to adults. They made ones with like serving trays for drinks and everything. And it's like, can you imagine going to? I was like, man, some drunk loon's gonna kick that thing over on accident and trip right over it. Like I just want to know if anybody. I would love to hear 80s robot party stories if anybody's got one. Like,
I mean, wasn't there one of those in Rocky 4?
I never saw it, but.
Like,
did anybody
had a robot?
Did anybody go to like a Coke party in the 80s and somebody was showing off their drink serving robot
and it had like a tray of cocaine?
Yeah,
I guarantee it. I would
meet
anything.
I want to meet the dude that was reading Playboy that was like, I need to buy this robot to serve Coke on this drink tray.
I mean,
and invite his friends over, and I want to see if it went smoothly or not. Did the robot just like clunk, plop, plop, fall over, spill Coke everywhere? Yeah. Or was it actually really fun? These are, God, I wish I could do this.
As a child, I had an Omnibot 2000, the little one that is in this.
Yep.
I had that toy, and it was the greatest toy ever. So
I had an Armatron.
That is pretty awesome, too.
But it was the version that was just an arm. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an arm.
Yeah.
My dad picked it up, and I thought it was the coolest thing.
It's the best.
It's like... Now it's just like, man, how much fun can you have with just an arm? Well, I had a ton.
Yeah, it's great.
I picked up anything I could with that thing.
It's amazing. I mean, that is a super fun, weird toy.
I want to get one of those. You have one of those kicking around here?
Weirdly, I haven't seen one of those. It's very strange that none of those come in. I don't know if maybe they just break really
Yeah.
easily or whatever.
It had a lot of moving servos in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
it doesn't seem like it would last very well. The only thing I remember very clearly that there was an episode of Mystery Science Theater where they used 2 of them for a robot arm wrestling match, and that was pretty awesome. Anyway, okay. So, Mom is still totally oblivious to Dad's monsterization. He hasn't come home and it's after dark, but so that worries her.
Yep.
And then we get these 2 very 50s cops. Like, they look like they're straight out of, like, Car 54 or Adam 12, 1 Adam 12 or whatever.
The cop with the mustache is a kid from the original movie.
Man, look at your fun facts.
I brought all my fun facts
I
with me.
appreciate that. Thank you. That's really cool. I like that. Okay, so David unknowingly, basically feeds these cops to the aliens.
Well, he doesn't know yet that they're
That's true.
They're alien meat by sending him that way.
Yeah,
He's like, my
that's
dad
true.
went to that hill. Like, you check that
Fair.
maybe.
So he does. He sends the cops out back.
Which is another fun fact, which is why when the cops are walking up that trail, you hear one of the cops go, "Man, I haven't been here since I was a kid."
Oh, shit. That's great. I love that. That was a good reference.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is my favorite scene because I don't know if it was intentionally done this way, but Dad pops out of a bush with his NASA badge, and he's got an electrician with him, and it's like, you guys were totally fucking, right?
Oh no, the phone guy from the phone company. He's he's zipping up his tie as he comes out. It's just like, what?
Was there an implication there? And again, that could very easily be an intentional, like, childhood fear of, like, my dad's fucking the mailman or something. You know,
I never had that as a child.
I don't think
fear.
I did either.
But it is odd. Like,
But it was very intentional.
But
it had to be.
But it's also very strange because the aliens, when they're aliens, taking over people. I mean, they're kind of weird, but they're not stupid. Like, why wouldn't he just? He must have drove home from work, right? Like, why wouldn't he just walk up the driveway? Why in the hell were they coming out of the bushes? It's
very strange.
odd. Yeah.
It's whatever. He was like, yeah. He makes some excuse about, I was just laying pipe or something.
Yeah.
I mean, installing the phone, not laying pipe.
That's a ticket.
And Mom's like, yes, I know. Wipes away a tear. And anyway, okay. Cops come back. They're totally zombified. Also, they've got the thing in the back of their necks. They're poking at their necks. I appreciate that they don't go out of their way to show it. They just show a lot of the people. They show
subtly just touching their neck for a second.
Yep. Which doesn't make sense if you're an alien and you know that you have a control rod in the back of your neck. But I don't know.
It could also be a semblance of humanity too, or it's just
true because they're also not aliens, so they're not pod people. There is literally an antenna in their neck that is implanted, and then they're controlled by the supreme intelligence. So their brains are still working like humans. They're just being controlled.
That's probably why. Yeah.
So that might be it.
Just like scratching an itch involuntarily. Yeah.
So okay.
We're itchy.
Yeah, Dad manhandles David back into the house because David is just constantly getting like fucking Jack Torranced. He's like Danny Torrance arm.
Just have broken noodles arms.
Yeah, totally. So he's like, later on, Dad's like, later on we should go for a walk in the woods, honey.
After you do the dishes.
I love that he's still such a fucking, like, such a pig that he's like,
yeah,
but you really need to get the housework done first. I'll make you into a zombie deer, but only after you do the dishes. Fuck. Anyway, okay, so David's understandably so terrified that he can do nothing but lay awake in bed, just kind of staring at the wall, holding onto a stuffed animal. His dad comes into his room and steals his pennies for reasons we don't understand yet.
But will.
Not really. We don't really understand it, but kind of makes sense.
Yeah, we do. They need a copper.
For what?
to power their stuff.
Sure. Okay. Sure. It runs on. I mean, it kind of does.
It does. That
seems
was
as
the
though it
whole
legitimately
shtick. They
does
stole
run on
copper from the NASA people, and they were stealing pennies. It was just like, get all the copper you can get to.
Yeah.
Well, that's another. We'll get there.
Somehow copper is fuel.
That's another thing too. Like, what are they even doing here? They're stopping the humans from going back to Mars. We find later out, or is that the?
Yep, that's the deal. They don't want the humans to go to Mars.
Why not just stop them when they get to Mars? Like, it's only gonna be like 2 of them.
I don't know. Maybe they're doing.
It's like, let's go to their planet full of like 6 billion people and fuck with them there instead of just waiting for like 2 of them to come here and go like boop boop.
We can't breathe the atmosphere. We can't, like, I mean, what are we gonna do on Mars? Nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a religious thing. Maybe it's like a violation or something. Who knows?
Sure.
But that's what they're doing. So
not very supreme or intelligent.
They are not terribly supreme or intelligent. David looks out his back window and watches Dad take his mom into the back field, which...
Oh, she's a pod person now.
Yep, it's too late.
Bye, Mom.
And next morning, Mom is daubing blood from the back of her neck at breakfast, where she is making a massive...
Pounds of bacon. Of burnt bacon.
Pounds of burned bacon.
Ugh.
I would totally take it. David looks ill.
You a crispy bacon, or you like your soft?
I'm a crispy bacon.
I'm kind of like a medium bacon.
Okay, I mean, certainly what they were doing. No,
God, no.
Certainly not blackened.
That'd
bacon
be like taking a spoonful of ash from the fireplace.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But so they say, David, you look ill. Perhaps a picnic in the back field would help you. And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. And Mom's like, while she's saying this, you're like, oh, she's making hamburgers. So she starts making a patty.
Yeah.
She makes it into a patty, takes the salt, pours a giant pile of salt onto it, and just starts eating pieces of raw hamburger with massive amounts of salt on it.
Ugh.
I loved it. That's
so gross.
It's such a great, weird moment.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, looking totally normal there, Mom.
I mean, you'd think that they'd have at least basic research on what humans eat.
Yeah.
But
like I said, maybe they're not that smart.
I mean, they have interstellar travel.
They do. And I'm sure it's hard to do research on a species from another planet when you've never been to that planet to, like, bone up before you get here.
It's true.
They seem to be doing better than most, though. Like,
that's a good point. If we went to Mars, we would not do this well.
No,
there's
so
no
true.
way.
Okay.
So there you go.
And every now and then we're just gonna eat like a pile of not right food.
Right, exactly. We'd show up and then we'd prepare a perfectly cooked hamburger and eat it, and they'd be like,
"Huh?
You're supposed to pour salt on that.
Yeah,
and eat it
you're
raw."
not sprinkling red Mars space dust on that.
I hate red Mars space dust. I have an allergy.
Now drink the clay.
Yes. So this scene of Mom giving him the lifeless hug. Now hug your mother.
Yeah.
And she hugs him, and she just kind of puts her arm and just kind of stares off into the middle distance. Ooh.
Love it.
Yeah, that is a wonderfully creepy moment. David gets to school, and he gets bullied by the friendliest bully in cinema history. This kid comes up, and he's like, has a baseball bat.
Slams a baseball bat on the monkey bars.
Hey, you want to come play?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow.
Oh, no, he asked him if he was real about that UFO shit.
Yeah. He's like, were you real about the UFOs? And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you want to come play?
No, and then he goes like, all the other kids think you're freaking or something like that. Yeah.
But then he does invite him to play.
Okay.
He does. So whatever.
Come play with us, space boy.
Yeah. David watches his teacher write 2 p.m. space trip. I mean regular trip. On the blackboard, and
bring your neck. Don't forget your neck.
Please wash back of neck.
Don't listen to Wu-Tang.
So he is suspicious of this lady who's writing these things, and so he follows her out back to her weird little classroom desk in the back there. She's turned away from him, and the suspense here is just so good.
Oh, I love it.
And it leads up to probably the most, like, one of the most memorable scenes in horror movies for me ever. He finally gets to her. She turns around. She's got half a frog in her mouth. She's eating a formaldehyde covered frog whole.
Just the back legs are kicking out.
They're just kicking, and she like turns and she's like, oh,
Yeah.
and just does the full on like a monitor lizard eating a rat.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
so good.
It's so good. And we also see that she has a crisscrossed bandage on the back of her neck. So an alienized little girl shows up too, and with pigtails, just enough pigtails to show that she has a band-aid on the back of her neck. Very clever.
That is Heather. That is the daughter of the phone repairman that the dad was sleeping with.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Dude. How do you know this stuff?
Though they say it.
Really?
Yeah, it gets mentioned, but it's a quick blinker.
That
You
is
miss
a
it
quick one.
because it's not even that important either. But like, yeah, he mentions it.
But I mean, it explains why she's at the vanguard of the invasion.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so he knocks down this little girl on his way out. He's like, fuck you, little girl, runs off, and he's saved at the last moment by Earthbound Angel Karen Black. The evil teacher is like, give me that boy. He's been doing bad things. I want to punish him. And she's like, no. You're acting cray-cray.
Yeah, you're going to beat him with a ruler.
Yeah,
aren't you?
I don't think this is... I think we need to give you some time to cool off. And she's like, I'll be back in 5 minutes for the boy.
My pretty.
Exactly. She's really... Yeah. Bringing very strong Wicked Witch of the West energy to this this project.
Oh, totally.
So she says 5 minutes because I guess 5 minutes is the amount of time that David needs to give all of the exposition up until this point.
Yeah, she never really comes back, does she?
I think she does. I can't remember. But he's like, David checks her neck and she's safe. So we fade out and then fade back in to Karen Black laughing. Apparently the 5 minutes have passed, and she's like, well, that's a hilarious story. I especially like the part about blah, blah, blah. And so now she knows the whole deal as David sees it. She doesn't believe the story, but she knows the parameters.
She will
But
believe.
oh, you, yeah. Okay, so now the teacher has come back, and Karen Black goes out to talk to her about the neck bandage. She's like, David's concerned about an injury to the back of your neck, and she keeps craning around to look at her neck, and she's super defensive, and she's like,
Oh, yeah, she does come back for the scene.
yeah. And she says, it's a boil. And then she tries even harder to get David, and pretty much at this point, Karen Black is like, she knows something is up. She knows that there's at least something to the idea that this teacher is fucked up at least. If not that she may not believe that there's aliens, but she believes that this teacher is messed up. So she closes the door behind her and is like, oh boy, and then sneaks him out the window.
Yeah, this is weird too. Like, just think of this proposition now, like a teacher telling a student, like, here, you leave school, sneak out my window, here's my house key, go to my house.
Oh, absolutely. It's very, very strange. And I mean, I feel like a lot of this is like, this feels like a childish, like, rescue fantasy for like a young boy.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to take care of this teacher that I'm in love with.
Yeah.
Which makes it even weirder that it's his mom, but you know, whatever. Okay, so little girl with the neck bandage comes to try and see him, and Karen Black is like a little more sold on the alien conspiracy when the little girl has the thing. She sees the two bandages on her neck and whatever. And then David's like, where can I hide? Where can I hide? Oh, the evil teacher's van.
Yeah.
Dude, come on. Why?
And what? I know they set this up, but I don't buy it. Because the teacher says that his teacher with the frogs, she said she got all those frogs in the Copper Hill area, which explains why she became alien so fast, because she was down there collecting all the frogs. You know what I mean? But like,
she also collected that stuffed monkey there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So when he gets into her car, it's just filled with like poacher cages left and right. And it feels like she got into the truck of the dude from like Rescuers Down Under. Like, this does not feel like his teacher's car at all. It's filled to the
It's
brim with
so-
taxidermied animals, multiple cages, traps everywhere. Like, what is she doing?
It definitely
And this was
feels-
before she was an alien.
Exactly.
Like, what?
It feels like it would be revealed that she's a serial killer after
Yeah.
the fact. Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. And it's all just to give us this one little homage to Toby Hooper's Toby Hooperness. Like, it's literally so that we can get a Texas Chainsaw Massacre like shot of different stuffed animals or,
And I
taxidermied
guess it
animals.
works as you were saying earlier. This is like a little kid nightmare scenario. Like, my teacher's weird. I bet she's got tons of weird shit in her car, and she does. But like, when you start breaking it down, you're like, it just does. I just don't feel the vehicle and car
She
fits
does
the
not
teacher.
look like a person who drives an Econoline.
No, and then and then on her way home, she's like, and then what do you do? Like after school and your school closed, you just stop at this sandpit swamp and
Well, I
collect
mean-
frogs like that?
She doesn't normally. In this particular case, she's going to her alien hive.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. But whatever.
But normally she's collecting. That's where she does it.
Yeah. But then, so David's parents show up at the school and confront Karen Black in the hallway, and we get one of those Zollies, like the zoom dolly shots, and it's so fucking good. It's probably one of my favorites. I mean, again, because I love this movie so much, but it's so slow. Normally when you see a Zolly, it's like, wow! It's like to really give you one of those like really fast shots, and in this case, it's like just really agonizingly slow.
I guess I didn't even notice it. Yeah. So
It's just like, it looks like the world is just slowly expanding around them. It's so fucking good. Anyway, we get the David and the possessed teacher's van, the chainsaw shots, blah blah blah, and David is being stupidly bold here. Like, he's constantly like, "Huh? Oh, look, it's her." It's like, dude, you're lucky that they had to rip the fucking rear view mirror off so that we wouldn't see the camera, because otherwise she'd see you.
yes.
So weird. It's so weird, but that's fine. So she does, she's just too zombified to notice much of anything. She parks down in a desolate area, hops a fence, still dressed like, like the granny from the fucking, like,
The granny.
from the granny. Yeah. And he follows her down a giant hole in the ground that looks like it was made with a huge death ray or something. It's really like hollowed out.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
Gnarly and awesome. And he's not terribly bright to walk into the hive of the aliens here. I don't know what David's plan is. You're 8 years old and you're like, maybe I can fist fight the aliens if I get in here. What is he thinking?
He doesn't even know what they look like or anything. He doesn't.
It's true.
He doesn't have
Might be
any
able to
idea
step
what
on
he's
them.
up against. Yeah.
I feel like that likelihood is very low. I think it's more likely that they're going to be xenomorphs and they're going to just eat you. But maybe.
No, you never know until you go.
It's true. You know what? He's going to roll those dice. And so we see that, like, the cheesy lighting process stuff that made Life Force not really work. But, like, this works because it's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look 50s and, like...
Yep.
I feel like he tried this in Life Force, and, like, you look at that movie and you're like, I don't know if that holds up.
Yeah, it's
And to me, this holds up.
I like this one better than Life Force is one of those movies where I feel it's got some great parts. And it's got some things that, I'm not talking about the boobs, but I mean, they are great. But I just mean it's got some great scenes, and effect-wise, it's got some great effects.
Patrick Stewart in it, for God's sake.
And it's got some great effects, but every time I ever try to watch it, I just get bored out of my fucking gourd. Like,
I know. I have found myself unable to finish that movie.
yeah, that's one of those
multiple
movies
times.
that's just like The Howling for me.
Yeah, that is a...
It's got some great stuff and it looks good, but man, I always just feel like zoning out.
I almost suggested Life Force at one point, and then I was like, and then I started watching it, and I was like, no, I can't sit down and take notes on this fucking thing, and it's like 7 hours long. Ugh, boy, no thanks. Anyway, okay, so we start seeing the inner workings of the hive, and then we see the two giant four-legged testicle monsters who are like, they look like hairless krites, They got gigantic toothy mouths. They're awesome. And then we see I guess they're the guards of the Supreme Intelligence, and they start chanting sort of like the Dark Crystal elders.
Yeah, they're drone aliens.
Yes.
According to the script and planning.
I mean, that seems sensible. I mean, it's definitely an insect hive of some sort, and the Supreme Intelligence seems to be whatever, but I guess the Queen alien. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the Krang Queen alien thing, it looks basically like Krang on a big wang. It's a Krang wang.
It's such a cool looking creature.
It's a cool looking creature.
And when he comes out, when he first pops out of that thing and it's got all those finger tendrils that he comes out of, like, I love what that looks like. It's so gross.
It's a space anus.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. And so when he talks, when the weird little guy, when the weird little Krang
talking is just going
and then the thing on the teacher's neck starts spinning, the little light up thing. And she starts just like regurgitating information. Like she basically...
Is that what she's doing when she's reading the vowels out? I didn't get that. Okay.
Like it was a thing that I think she had said earlier, and it feels like he's just kind of unwinding parts of her brain for like data collection.
Oh, okay.
Is what it felt
I guess
like.
I could see that. And then she starts like reading this weird poem or some shit. Like,
yes.
But was that just to call out David? Like, I didn't get this part at all.
She
gets there and she's like, she gets there at first and she's like A-E-I-O-U and like doing vowel shits, and then she's like,
yeah.
And she reads that little brief passage, and all of a sudden she turns around and yells at David, who's there. So it was like, was she setting up to turn around, or did she catch it normally, or did the Supreme guy see it and beam it into her that he's? I just didn't get this.
To me, this was more of the like the nightmare kind of stuff where people are talking in ways that don't make sense and that kind of thing to make it even more of a like,
I just feel the movie has
incomprehensible nightmare quality.
I just feel this movie has a couple broken parts, and this is one of them. I'm just like, I don't get what's going on, and then it just moves on like I don't get any of that.
Yeah. So it's weird. Again,
None of it made sense to me.
I'm being overly forgiving of the movie, but to me it feels like it's intentional, that it's supposed to be incomprehensible for like to make it weird, to make it feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
But the two very ineffectual guards go after David. Like, I can't imagine how you could have a physical form that is less intimidating than these things.
Yeah.
It feels like their main problem is like cow tipping. Like it seems like
cow
they're very,
tipping?
very vulnerable to a push from the side.
They're extremely slow.
So slow.
If you want to shoot them with bullets, you can't fucking miss because they're extremely huge
giant.
and wide. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't have a lot of pluses to them whatsoever.
I mean, they're basically bulletproof, so that's helpful.
What?
You have to shoot them with a bazooka.
They get taken right the hell out with machine guns.
No, it was bazookas. Like they shoot the shit out of them and nothing happens. I mean, you can see little pox happening,
but
they
that's
don't
why
fall
they fell.
down. But every time it was a dude with a bazooka.
Oh, okay.
So there is at least that, but they're definitely giant krites. Okay, so
it's annoying too that there's obviously only two of them built.
I know.
Like every time we see them, there's two of them in the screen at the same time, and it's just like you never see more than two at once. It's like, okay, man.
It's one of those things, because it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I think this movie does really well later on is take 40 army men and make them seem like 12 platoons.
Oh yeah,
like it's amazing. I was so impressed by just how massive the force felt and how those shots were so expertly put together in a way. Like John Carpenter has that skill too. And it's just this amazing way you can use a few people to look like a lot of people, and it really worked. Like I never felt like the army that was huge. That was phoned in. Anyway, so all right, David's running away. And we get the cliched hand over the mouth. Oh no, he's been caught by someone. Oh, it's Karen Black. So He tells her about the monster lair. She continues to hope that he's just mental, but clearly she knows he's telling the truth and is just...
Are you just a crazy little kid?
That's... Please just be a crazy little kid.
Yeah.
Is, like, her hope. Now the hole where David got into the hive is gone. They can move tunnels, he says.
No.
Karen and David are looking at David's house over a hill. The geography in this is a little funky because it's like there's no hill there anywhere that would have been like 4 stories tall.
That's in the front yard.
Yeah, oh sure. We just don't see the front yard.
We don't?
Actually, we did. We saw him at the... There's one part of the front yard that could have been in. Actually, that's true. You know what? Exactly where that is, we don't see because we see where he gets picked up by the bus and comes in, but we don't see that right-hand corner. So,
it's over there.
That's exactly where that giant mountain is. Okay, so they watch David's parents dispatch 2 dudes in orange suits into what looks like a giant strip mine. Like, it just looks like desert, wasteland. And they're holding metal detectors because I guess, I don't know, they were looking for gas lines or something. Who knows?
I don't even know if they're looking for anything. Were they just being fed to the...
I mean, they were, but I mean, they had metal detectors.
Oh.
And so they were...
so I was like, go out there and find the metal thing. Yeah, that's it.
Like,
that's
it's like
ticket.
Maybe they work for the gas company or something and they got gas detectors or something. Who knows?
Or they were sleeping with George's dad.
Or also is like, go out in there and pretend that you're doing something and then we'll meet up for the sex later. That sounds a lot more likely. Okay, so what they find is a sand tunnel that swallows them in a beautiful scene. Oh my god.
Oh, the quicksand eating effects in this look great.
Oof, they're so good.
All the effects look great.
And also, we don't know what it is either, and it never gets shown to us, but it's clearly some sort of organic creature.
Thing that's sucking them and running into
because it attacks them, like it goes after them. You see like a Tremors monster going under the ground like Bugs Bunny. And it's
I wish we saw that.
I do too, but we don't.
Yeah, this blows my mind because this movie also won a Razzie Award for Worst Special Effects. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Can I just say that the Razzies are garbage?
Yeah, they are, but like in any awards I don't take stock in, but at the same time, like, who would watch this? Like, you say whatever you want about this movie, but who thinks these effects look shitty?
There's a million things you can say about this movie, but
the effects looking shitty is not one of them, dude.
And like the idea that the sets, like that they didn't know that they were making the sets look like that on purpose is insane.
Yeah.
That took so much talent to make those sets look
amazing,
exactly the way that they do.
Yep.
Like, fuck you. Fuck you, the Razzies. Yeah, the fucking Turkey Awards or whatever, all of that shit. They're all dumb. Listen, as somebody who says bad things about movies a lot, even I would not be that much of an asshole. Okay, so let's see. Karen and David book it, but as they're leaving, they see our evil teacher driving. This is so Freddy.
Oh, and the teacher looks out and smiles out the window.
This is the Freddiest scene ever.
It is the Freddiest scene ever.
Oh my god. Just like literally, she knows exactly where David is, and she just turns her head and smiles at David as she's taking the field trip kids to the...
If you just put a Freddy laugh under the scene, it would work.
Yeah. Would have been amazing. So that's exactly what it is.
That would have been fun. She had a Freddy horn. That's what it turned out to be.
Yeah. So they drive off, and Karen gets out at a gas station to call the state police. And David's teacher is an expert bus driver because she sneaks up with a fucking 50-ton bus and is like...
Buses are quiet.
Yeah, those old buses, so quiet. You could smell that bus coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's like dropping tons of diesel fuel into the atmosphere every year. Anyway, he runs away, and she's not able to catch him because he's a kid and she's an old lady. And
even though she gets a drop on him.
Yep. Karen,
that David's old. He's wiry.
He's wiry. And Karen finally sees what's going on and catches him and drives off. And Karen says, "There's one place I know that we can hide." the place where the invasion started. Cool choice, bro.
Yeah, she goes back to the school?
What is this decision?
Is that where she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, go hide at the school. It's like, this is like literally practically ground zero. It's at least step 2 of the invasion.
And it's where you work. People are going to be looking for you.
It's like there are people there. Like, we know that there are people who were infected who are there. So we know that there's a good chance that there's a bunch of other people we don't know there, like the janitor or whatever, and you're going to go hide in the boiler room? I mean, again, because
Freddy's down there. You fool.
Freddy's got one of those little things in the back of his neck now. Okay, so turns out phone's dead. No FBI for you.
Sucker.
Zombie alien cops show up looking for them, and they go down, hang out with Freddy. David knocks over the rake that they keep on the stairs. Shouldn't keep rakes on the stairs, just saying.
I'm glad they saw him in this scene, though, because this whole scene, they're just like, they're like sitting on that bed, and I was like, aren't you guys gonna like find some cover or something? And I'm just like thinking, like, if these cops look around and don't see them, I'm gonna be so pissed. But no, they saw them because they're sitting right there. So thank you, movie, for letting them just sit right there and get caught, because...
But then the giant outer space penis drill saves them, which is the weirdest thing. Like, what the fuck is this thing? How... Like, the likelihood of this happening seems pretty low.
Again, it's just like, I wish we knew more.
Yeah. I mean, what is it?
What was going on? Like, why are they even here? Like, they're here, and it's like, I don't know, maybe to stop that ship, but it's like,
the ship.
Then just stop the fucking ship and get out of here. What are you tunneling out underneath the school and busting through the janitor's closet for? And what are you...
Scare the children.
And turning a whole school bus full of kids into aliens. Like...
I don't know.
Just blow the ship and bounce, man.
It's a good question. I mean, maybe... Yeah, it would all be conjecture.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
That's the thing. Yeah, they don't give us any... I don't need everything spelt out, but just like, man, a little bit of like hint towards your mission here would be great. Like, are you getting humans for slaves to bring back? Like, that would make sense. Control all the people and march them all into the big hive ship to take off.
Yeah.
They don't seem like they're doing that.
It also seems like...
They don't...
If they have that hive ship, all they really need to do is just blow up the fucking rocket when it gets there. They already have really good... They already clearly have really good space travel. Like, that rocket would never get anywhere near them. One of our crappy NASA rockets? Come on.
And with one of those little pod bazookas, they could blow that up the minute it landed without...
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, well. There's something else going on. Something more sinister, I'm sure. Anyway, David realizes that he needs to talk to someone named General Wilson, who he knows for reasons we can only assume have to do with his dad working at NASA.
And he came and spoke in his class for some reason.
Because his dad works at NASA.
No, like a DARE officer or something.
Yeah. Because he had to. It was court mandated.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I have to do 2 hours of this thing because I ran over a kid in the parking lot.
If anybody offers to stick a stick in your neck, just say no. Okay?
Dare to say no to blinking sticks jammed into your spinal column.
I know it sounds fun, and they might offer the first one to be free, but don't.
Oh, you think it makes you look cool and adult to have a glowing stick in your spine.
Look at me, my neck's blinking. I'm so cool.
Sure, all of your favorite rock stars have blinking lights in the back of their necks, but, oh, they'll pay for it eventually. Anyway, okay, so...
That bit definitely ran its course.
Sure, that bit died very quickly. Anyway.
Blink neck 182.
Jesus Christ. He does believe in aliens.
Yeah.
So, you know what? That actually tracks better than I would have expected. Anyway, okay, so we see a bunch of people working on a liquid nitrogen trailer, and the two dudes who got sucked under the sand in the orange jumpsuits.
David points him out.
He points them out, and they're loading copper wire onto a truck.
Aliens love their copper.
And this is as they're being driven into the compound, into the NASA, whatever it is, NASA's base. I guess. I don't.
Again,
they doesn't have a base, but what? It doesn't matter. It's fucking fly in here.
Yeah, man, he's been driving me nuts too.
Kill him.
Probably an alien.
Probably an alien. Anyway, okay, so David's parents show up, and his dad gets a time bomb from 2 random goons. And so now we meet with the general, and David's like, hey, show me the back of your neck. And he's like, what? That's crazy. Sure, I got nothing on the back of my neck. What about you, other guy who's in the room? Nah, I got nothing in the back of my neck either. Okay, cool. He's like, all right, there was a thing that happened on Friday. Alien ship landed, blah, 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 blah. And General's like, that's not something that happened. You're just a crazy little kid, blah, blah, blah. And then this like fucking Guy Friday comes over and he taps him on the shoulder and he's like, I just talked to NASA and they said there was a UFO that landed on Friday.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
oh,
did you not go fucking look?
Right?
I mean, maybe they sent some people and they all got fucking zombified, but I don't know. It seems weird.
And then they have those 2 UFO dudes that know shit. Bud Cort and his buddy there. Like,
They know
you're telling me those guys didn't go
aliens.
check this out if they knew
No,
it?
apparently not.
What the F?
These are your 1980s scientists are dumbasses characters. You know, people who are smart, they're actually stupid. Don't worry, you don't need to feel dumb. Anyone who's smart is actually the dumb one. And that's always a fun character that certainly hasn't led to ruining society by putting those characters in movies. Anyway.
I wish they did something quirkier with this. I was saying this before we even started recording.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is where the movie starts going to bed for me at the scene, because I'm just not a big... I don't like big squadrons of soldiers. Like, this felt like it started turning into, like, a war movie. Like,
I hate to say it, I think your treatment is better. I think I actually would have enjoyed your version better.
yeah, I was
and I think you might even be on to what would have made this a hit too.
Yeah, like if the general, like, just as a wonky thrown out there example, like if it was Jesse Ventura acting quirky with like a big leopard print hat, you know what I mean? Like he had like the crazy general,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Who was still there and receptive and being good like this guy was, but just had some weird spunk to him. Instead, we just get your very by the you know what you expect an army general to look and act like, and it's just like, yeah, cool.
He is very not.
He's not fun. He's just dull.
And also, I think the idea, I think your like kids on bikes version of this that you pitched,
it's
before we started, I think that's a solid. I mean, it's a Stranger Things trope now, but I mean, it would be. If it was Goonies, if it was any of those movies, it would be more fun. If it was a Lost Boys version of this, where nobody believes them, so a bunch of weird kids get together and the kids solve the problem.
I would like that so much better than 50 nameless soldiers.
Like imagine,
that we get. Yeah.
You know, you get your weird, ultra smart science geek kid who's like gut crazy out there. He's your evil Ed for Fright Night.
Yep.
You know, like, and he's like, no, this is what they don't want you to know. They use copper to power their spaceships and for their death rays. And
so we could actually learn shit about them. Yeah.
And so if you had that weird kid, he could be saying crazy stuff that you're like, that's a funny, crazy kid. And then it would all be true.
Yep.
And then he would know.
And then we could have a big dumb heavy who like fights the guys with fists.
Absolutely. Like you could have sort of that character, sort of your Critters. What's his name? The farmhand from Critters, who becomes the main character. Charlie.
Yeah.
Basically a Charlie, only like if he was a giant big lunkhead.
Yes.
Like if Charlie was like a huge, like 300-pound lunkhead.
I want to play football, but I'm too dumb.
But he's too dumb.
Yeah, but I can fight aliens. Like, awesome. You're our kid.
I would have loved that. That would have been amazing.
And his name would be Lunk.
And absolutely.
Fucking hook me up.
Dude, I really think, as much as I love this movie, I think that is a better version of this movie. But whatever. Okay, so he's like, oh, hey, by the way, all right, so if you kind of believe this, then let me give you a little bit more. Out here, see those dudes in those bright orange, really easily identifiable outfits? They're aliens.
Yeah.
Bring them in here and talk to them. And he's like, Okay, cool, I will. Should I get their guns away from them first? If I suspect them of being alien spies? Nah, I wouldn't do that. I'd let them keep the guns. So they keep their guns.
Why do they even have guns? These guys are on the freaking NASA research team working with the Army. Like,
They're
why are they packing?
because they're loading copper wire and they have to shoot meth heads. There's so many meth heads trying to steal their copper wire to sell for meth.
Was that even going back on that back then?
No, I don't think copper wire was a thing that people were stripping houses for back in the old days.
I mean, copper's always been around. I want to know when the copper thefts began.
I don't know. I think it had to hit a certain value. And I mean, that's such a like residential area kind of crime, and meth became such a like suburbs drug.
Yep.
I think maybe those two things kind of came together. I don't know. Anyway, but he has them for interrogation. They're waiting in the waiting room, and they're both sitting in the chairs sweating.
Yeah.
They're just drenched in sweat, and their eyes are all bugged out. It's great. And then they get invited in, and he's like, "So, you guys aliens?" And then they both draw down on him.
Yeah.
With their guns.
Well, at least he was smart enough to have Rinaldi in the room to.
Yeah, he's got
his buddy there.
He's got an American ninja in the room who's just like whap whap. It's luckily the fucking Wi-Fi signal on those things in the back of their necks takes like 5 minutes to get reception because the guy's not Bruce Lee. He's like, they draw their guns, a beat.
He smacks one of them.
Aha! I've got your gun. And then he smacks the other one. Yep. Aha! I have a second gun. It's like, man, you could have shot that general 60 times by the time you got that gun.
Now, give me 1 second. I'm getting to you over there.
But again, I think it's just slow Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Probably have Spectrum.
Ugh, God. Terrible customer service. So once they're caught, the alien guys start having seizures. The little things in the back of their necks explode, killing them. They're dead. And meanwhile, there's a giant NASA truck full of liquid nitrogen driving off the base with a bomb on it. We find out later.
Yeah, I guess they built a bomb.
Yeah. And now we get this, like, the entrance of the Gamera movie version of how children are treated on military bases thing happening here, where it's like, Kenny, tell us how you would handle the situation. Well, I would talk to Gamera. And it's like, he's talking, literally this little kid is like, I'm 8 years old.
Yeah.
Get me your top scientists.
All right, here's our top scientist here. Why don't you take a gun while we're at it, too, and ride along with us into full danger?
Absolutely mental. He talks to literally the two top scientists at NASA and the general of the entire base. And, and he's like, he asks about the famous Mars photo, and they're like, oh, that crap? That's just the stuff that we felt like showing. The other stuff, we saw people with like a Coors party ball, and they were like fucking playing beach volleyball on Mars. It was all over the place. There's some real crazy photos that we didn't want you to see.
Here's another problem too. With like, here's where we meet Bud Cort and the other guy who are the scientist team, but like they're also not that interesting. Like, man, you took Bud, just like they dialed down Karen Black.
Yes.
They hired Bud Cort and said be a 3 as well. Like, dude,
it was weird.
What are you doing?
Yeah, Bud Cort should have been at a 10.
And it's like he had that scene where when he gets shot, where he's like, "Oh my gosh, they're understanding me," but it's like so lazy by Bud Cort standards of this performance. So it's very odd that they didn't go full bore making these characters more eccentric too, because they're frankly boring characters, man. Especially the not Bud Cort one is just a nothing burger of a character.
Yeah,
like, damn, man,
it's weird. So these scientists basically, like, they're like standing around and they're all kind of doing nothing. They haven't mobilized anything. They're like, okay, they're like, oh, there's no water under the surface, or there's no water on the surface, but there's water underneath the ground at Mars. And so that's where they live. These things live under the surface. We now know we're about to launch a Mars rocket. Okay, so he's like, oh my God, they're going after the rocket. But it's like, these things have infiltrated the highest levels of government, and you guys are like mobilizing to stop them from blowing up a fucking rocket, call the fucking president. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But whatever. We find out that the liquid nitrogen truck is wired to explode. Why nitrogen of all things?
Oh, it was oxygen.
Oh, was it?
It was liquid oxygen.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
liquid nitrogen. No. Okay, that makes more sense.
You watch too
that,
much T2, boy.
that explodes. Okay, perfect. So, blah blah blah. They blow it up in the most bizarre way to sabotage a rocket that I could.
Again, it's like I want to know if did these Martians like know that we were sending this rocket somehow? Like, have they been spying on us?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, clearly they do know this.
And I mean, it takes a long time to get from Mars to here.
Yes.
I don't know how long. I'm not a scientist, but I know it's not like a.
No, it's
not just a long road trip. It's like a year, like forever.
No, it is a you aren't going to live to see the ride home.
Exactly.
Kind of
Yeah.
It's not one of those things. I mean, with current technology, but we don't know what they were packing over there. They could have been something amazing.
Yeah.
Some sort of new thing that warps space and time, and they get there in like under a half hour.
Well, I mean, that's what the aliens could have been using, but for our ship, I don't know. How are they spying on us? We're like, hey guys, we need to stop this ship on Earth, like, because like. In 50 years, it's going to get here?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, everybody aboard's going to be dead. But
yeah.
Who knows? Okay. It all blows up. Who cares? They find more workers loading copper wire, and the general says probably my favorite line of his, certainly. Don't worry, boy. The Marines have no qualms about killing Martians, which I thought was a really sweet 50s line.
Yep.
That's real good. We get a mobilization montage, and this is where we get a lot of stuff that's very similar to the Night of the Living Dead 2 kind of. Like, there's a lot of Night of the Living Dead 2 in this part, aside from just having our actor from Night of the Living Dead in that. Okay, so now the Marines descend on the school and David's backyard, and it's like, these are the Marines.
Yeah.
So they're violating the Posse Comitatus Act, and absolutely that general's going to be court-martialed. But, you know.
What is this actor, Chuck? I don't know what you're talking about.
You're not allowed to put Marines on U.S. soil without a fucking congressional declaration.
Oh, okay.
It's totally illegal.
Gotcha.
But in this case, he might be forgiven.
To save the world.
There's aliens.
Yeah.
I think people would go, oh, dude.
Yeah, do your thing.
Fucking aliens. I have a feeling that they might overlook it. Anyway, this is where we get all the really great shots of 40 actors looking like 400 actors. The scientist shows up with some hilariously bogus tricorder thing that they're waving. And we get fucking Christopher Alport from Jack Frost here as our main military guy. We get the sheriff from Jack Frost.
Oh,
he's our main Marine. And so, in the typical Spielberg or Gamera movie fashion, David's given total access to literally everything. He's in on every single thing. He's listening into all the plans.
He's just riding in the cars with them.
Riding with the general. And David's like, we just need to talk to them. And the general's like, huh, interesting. That's an interesting point you make. And on his other side, while David's like, we should talk to them, there is literally a dude briefing him about the locations of his troops as they relate to aliens that want to kill them. And David's like interrupting to be like, maybe if we talked to them or gave them Nintendos, they would like it better. And
they're just misunderstood.
If they could just play Super Mario Brothers with me, I think they'd be fine.
I mean, that's kind of like the secret to world peace, but
it might be true.
Not everybody will play the game.
Anyway, foolishly, they listen to the military intelligence officer and not the 8-year-old kid, and a clumsy soldier falls down into the sand.
Whoops.
Boopsie doopsie. He gets sucked down into the whirlpool.
See ya, Boba.
And we go into the hive, and we meet the slow, dorky creatures moving around. And we see the giant eyeball cannons on their sides.
Well, one of them has it. One's packing.
One is packing.
One's a pacifist.
That's great. There's only 2 of them, and only one of them gets a gun.
Yeah, right?
That's nice.
We only sculpted one gun, guys. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. And it's the same sculpt that we used for their eyeballs, so whatever. Anyway, okay, so Bud Cort decides to talk to one of the huge ball sacks, and they're like, oh, he understands. And they're like,
And this could have been funny.
It could have been Mars a Taxi.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like this scene sucks, man. They just dropped the ball in this scene, where it's just like, and then Bud Cort just keeps repeating, like, "Hey, he understands me. He understands me."
Yeah.
And it's like for a third time when he says it, I'm like, really, man? Like,
Yeah. This could have been written way better.
Exactly.
His dialogue sucks.
It just feels like he was trying to like he's just like waiting for Toby to cut, and he's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
So he's like, he understands me.
Yeah. I was honestly like I was nearly angry that they didn't do the Mars attacks here. It's like, just at least show the fucking skeleton.
Yeah.
Like I wanted the scene from one of the Mars attacks trading cards.
Yep.
Where you see the skeleton as the death ray hits him.
Yes.
And you can see part of his arms and legs, and then just the skeletonized center.
Man, you made him bright and pink, glowing with a laser. Just put a fucking cartoon skeleton in there for 2 seconds.
Cartoon skeleton would have made all the difference for that scene. Like, I would have loved it, but whatever. We didn't get it.
And I'll never forgive them.
So, okay.
Bud Cort's gone.
He's gone.
We pretty much ignore the other scientists completely after this part, too.
Totally. They're immune to the machine guns. They fire the machine guns. So many shots.
I thought that dropped him. I didn't even notice
And then eventually, the one guy gets tapped on the head, and then he fires his bazooka, and that knocks him over. And he just falls over like a tipped cow.
Yeah.
He literally is just like...
I didn't even gather like the bazooka took him out, because I thought that helped. I thought when he shot it, but like they shot him with the machine guns and you see the blood dripping, so I thought they just took him down with that, because they're
because
goopy organs.
Because when he hits him, all the rubber guts get thrown back at him when the bazooka hits the thing. Some PA throws a handful of like really fakey rubber guts that are not wet at all. It's like it looks like laundry.
Yep.
Flies back at them, and it's awesome. I loved that scene. I feel like I wouldn't have liked it as much if it had been like bloody even.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something about
I would have liked
how much of like a Gwar show it was.
I would have liked to see
happy.
I would have liked to see those meatballs blow up though.
Oh, same, but
when they get hit by the machine,
Come on. They couldn't afford that.
That's fair.
All right. David wants to save his parents now.
This fucking scene. This kid has been like on top of everything the whole movie. And he knows, I mean, you could chalk it up to being like, he's a kid and it's his parents.
Yeah.
And obviously I get that. But like, he's been on top of everything. And all of a sudden in a split second, he's just like, I gotta go save my mom and dad and run into the belly of the beast totally unarmed. Bye.
No, you're right.
What?
You're absolutely right, because to me, I don't hate that he did it. Like, I think that it was the right way for that scene to unfold and all that. All they had to do was say, all right, we're going down to plant the charges now, and then we'll detonate it, and we'll kill everything in that fucking hive and whatever. The general just says, if he had just said that, and David had overheard it and gone, no,
my parents are in there.
My parents are in there. I have to save them.
That would make sense.
I have to get them out first.
It's the whole thing is fixed with a line. You're
all
right.
it would have needed.
Yep.
Just that. But they didn't give him that. So unfortunately, it didn't have that.
He just like snapped and became a completely different character in 1 second. Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
I was screaming at the screen.
But he gets sucked into the whirlpool, and Karen Black follows him. She gets sucked in as well. The army guys are like, well, fuck this thing, and they throw charges into it. They're all on cables, and they get winched back out of the hole. And then the monster
is that going to blow up the kid?
I don't know. It's his fault for jumping in there. So either the machine or the monster or whatever it is that's in there gets blown up, and the sand just disappears, basically. It all falls into the hole, and then there's a ridiculously clean, round, massive, cavernous hole for the Marines to rappel down into. We go into the main chamber of the hive with the Supreme Intelligence, and David is watching as aliens drill one of the control antennae into Jack Frost, and or the sheriff from Jack Frost, and David's probably going to need a ton of therapy after this.
Who would?
To be fair, this is not going to be great for him. So David nearly gets away here, because those giant cow aliens are so fucking slow.
Yeah.
But they somehow manage to catch him. I don't know. They don't even really have dexterous hands of any sort. I think they have little snappy lobster claws or something.
They do have tiny hands that come out of the top of them. Yes.
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, but
do they even catch him? Doesn't the teacher catch him? Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Teacher catches him here.
That explains it. So the Marines keep on going through the tunnels. We do this kind of 1950s version of Aliens kind of riff with them looking at all the cool scenery, and we get little shots, and then our scientists are poking at things, and they're like, copper, something, copper. And he's like, so now David is like, I just need to talk to the Supreme Intelligence. And so somehow they let him.
Why not? I mean, he gets to talk to everybody else.
He always does. And he pleads with Krang, basically. He's like, let my parents go, and Karen Black, and everything else.
You can keep the teacher, though.
But you can keep this fucking teacher, because she was a monster beforehand.
Yep.
I love that. But yeah. And then he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Essentially. You can tell that he makes a noise, and it basically is pretty clearly fuck you. And David's like, no, fuck you. And security's so lax that he punches the Supreme Intelligence in its exposed brain.
And calls him a dick brain. This is back to the beginning of this movie, where I was like, if I was watching this as a kid, and I was like, man, this is so cool that this kid gets to swear at his parents. And then when you watch this kid be like, shut up, dick brain, and hit a monster, it's awesome.
He punches the monster.
Yep.
And the monster's like, he has, that monster's face is so expressive, too.
I love it, man.
It's such a good creature. I love it so much. And so, on his way out, he smacks his possessed teacher with his sack full of coins, and she falls into one of the mouths of the ball sack monsters, who are, like a vampire or something, or any of those kinds of creatures. They're just so ravenous they can't help themselves, even though they're not supposed to eat her.
Yeah, free snack.
Whatever.
You all saw it.
Listen,
it fell in.
It fell into my mouth. Come on. So
she fell onto my fangs.
So the guy that just got the neck poke comes out, and he's trying to shoot the general, but his love of America is too strong. He's like, no, you're gonna have to shoot me. And he fires one shot in the air. The soldiers shoot him. He gets to die for his beloved country. God bless America. And soldiers kill 2 more Martians, 2 more ballsack creatures, the same ones.
The same 2 ones.
But, whatever. And then the soldiers get into the main chamber, and they shoot the shit out of the fucking Krang monster.
It doesn't seem to bother him that much.
He bleeds. You do see some holes pop out. But then
he's like, yeah, fuck this.
He's like, he has some sort of electrical weapon that fries everything in the room.
That's right. This was another problem that I had with this. I felt, because they come in there, they just start shooting up Supreme Intelligence.
Yep.
He puts up, I don't know, is it a force field? Is it just short-circuiting?
It's like some sort of electricity that kills everybody that's near it.
And then eventually he's just like, I'm going back upstairs.
I'm going into my space.
So it's just there's no cool climactic alien death here. They just they just fire machine guns willy-nilly until the guy goes, I'm going back in. Bye.
Yes.
So I'm just like, oh.
It's too bad, because it's like, guys, you know what works. If you'd brought the goddamn bazooka, you'd probably be done with this by now. You'd probably be able to be reverse engineering this entire place.
Well, they shoot a bazooka at it at the end, but it doesn't seem to do anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they get that one guy, and he shoots the thing, and I don't know what he pops up at the end, and they're just like, shoot for the Babadook, and he shoots,
shoot
and it just
for the Babadook,
and it just blows a panel off the wall, and then we just move on, and we don't care. I don't know if there was missing.
I remember that.
I don't know if something was missing, or but it just didn't make it. This whole ending. This is another part. Another part that I just feel is very broken, and it's a shame that it is because it's the climax. You know what I mean? Like I want that supreme intelligent alien to get his comeuppance.
Yeah, same.
Instead, he's just like, all right, bye. I don't like your guns, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm glad that he didn't get killed because he would have looked so sad. Like that little guy, I wouldn't have wanted to see him looking sad after he was shot. Just like so petulant. It'd be very sad. Anyway, so the spaceship is about to take off, and they've set charges all over the place. They've got 5 minutes to get out, and then some people are killed by the phallic drill thing, but now it's just loose and floating through the hallways.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of duck it. Like,
you can.
It's not like the cleaner in
No, people do
Labyrinth.
duck it. They absolutely do.
Yep.
The Marines kill some more Krites, and but it turns out they've sealed off all the entrances, so now they can't get out. Turns out David is smart, and he says, look at this thing. It's an alien weapon. But they're like, we can't activate it. If only we had some copper. Sir, we don't bring coins into battle.
It's true.
That is, I mean, I would imagine that is probably true. And they know that that's how it works because David is an alienologist. And
because he saw them put something into it earlier that didn't look like copper at all. So he was like, I saw them earlier put something that didn't look like copper in it all, so I know it runs on copper. Like, this is another scene where it's like, ugh. And then so he's just like, okay, I hit my teacher with the other bag of pennies. I got to use my 1958 D mint condition penny.
Yep.
And then he just sticks it in, and then he tells the soldier, he's like, you aim, I'll fire. And it's just like, you've never touched this thing before in your life, kid. Like, how do you know how to fire it? They don't care.
He's magic. Again, like,
if
why,
it looked like, if it, the fucking
why
thing.
was there a coin slot?
Yeah. Well, that's where you load the power source in for the ray gun. So that scene makes sense. But, like,
are they just coming to Earth for pennies?
Yes.
Oh,
if it,
okay.
if the thing looked like a gun.
Yes.
It would be like, cool, I get it. You hold it, I'll fire.
Right,
Instead, it just looked like he's holding a giant artichoke, and he's just like, yeah, I'll fire it. I know where the button is, I guess.
I know where the button on the artichoke is. But David hears his parents calling to him from inside the ship. They're looking like a proto Mulder and Scully here. I was like, wow, that is pretty awesome. But David essentially gets his parents to chase after him so that they're no longer in the spaceship when it takes off. We get the cool, crazy lights flashing everywhere, the craft taking off, and it gets a little bit airborne, and all the charges go off inside. And that, I guess, disables the control devices in the parents' necks in such a way that they don't go into seizures and die like the two guys who had them explode before.
Well, I think the guys before were told to explode from the ship. This one was just, we lost connection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just have 0 bars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So David wakes up. Turns out it was all a dream.
What the F?
I know. I don't know why this happened.
Why would you do... Who thought this was a good idea?
Why wouldn't you just cut this? Especially if you can't make the thing happen at the end that you wanted. Why wouldn't you just...
And even if the thing that was supposed to happen at the end happened at the end, it still doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Why would it be a dream? Why wouldn't you just move on?
Just let it be real.
Yeah.
Let this just have happened. But whatever. Okay, so he's in his bed. He screams. His parents come to his room. He checks their necks, but they don't have things in their necks. This was all a dream. And then we get this fucking Wizard of Oz tacked on thing, like an homage to the Wizard of Oz, where they're like, oh, you're just thinking of this person and this person who did this. And it's all things from his life. And it's like, that was not set up well enough to be a Wizard of Oz.
No.
It's like, you just saw him and you thought this. And so when you had your dream, you assigned this to it. And it's like, that is tenuous at best.
And it could kind of work better, too, if they did this kind of thing. Where it was like, you just dreamed about all the things. And then they left the room, you know what I mean? Then he was just like, hey, where's my penny collection? Like, that wasn't that. Unfortunately, in this scene, the penny collection is back.
Yes.
You know, that would have been cool if he looked over and he was like, where's the penny collection? Then they went to the living room and the parents were sitting there with the supreme brain in the living room, you know, together. So it's like, oh, it did happen. Like,
Oh, I mean, I like, you pitched one earlier that before we even started that I like even better. Like, he's like, wait a minute. So he notices something's wrong in the room. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
So he's like, wait, my penny collection's gone.
Yeah.
And so he goes and he opens the door.
Oh,
and he's in the hive.
Yes.
And the hive has taken off.
Yep.
And they just basically made up a room to look like it.
Or he just sees the Martian landscape and he opens a door.
Or we phantasm this thing and he literally opens it to a fucking Martian
Exactly,
world.
yeah.
Amazing.
Anything other than just the...
Yeah.
Because, the way the movie was supposed to end was he was supposed to look in his parents' room and they were getting eaten by the meatball monsters from earlier. Which still doesn't make any sense. So then he wakes up and it was a dream, but then it became not a dream.
Yeah, it's stupid. But then it turns out that it isn't a dream because it was a premonition. So he was having a psychic dream because then the alien spaceship lands
and he
yet
sees it
again.
all start again. What?
He runs to his parents' room and screams. He's
hate
caught in
all
a
of
nightmare that won't end. Ka is a wheel, etc., etc.
I hate all of this ending of this movie.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but I don't like it. I don't love it. There are
I
a
hate
million
it, and
possibilities.
it made
that
me
would be
angry.
better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. That is to me obviously the worst part of the movie. It's the weakest part of the film. But
and I wonder if that was a studio interference because this was a kids movie. It's like you kind of it still ends kind of spooky though. Like,
I mean that ending it like Troll 2, where like everything is fine and it's all we've destroyed the evil, whatever. Oh no, I go out and then my parents are still being killed.
Yeah.
It's basically a Troll 2 ending.
Yeah.
This came after Troll 2, I think. So I guess it's a Troll 2 ending.
I think this was before.
Oh, okay. So Troll 2 has this movie ending.
Yes.
Still Troll 2's ending. That movie is terrible, but that ending is fucking traumatizing.
Yeah.
That is like child's nightmare ending from hell. Fuck. Oof. Yeah, but this still one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I mean, I
fucking love it.
I enjoyed it for the most part. I definitely like the first half better. I like the whole everybody's starting to become neck monsters. Like I thought that was cool. Once it got into and I think that as much as I think the hive looks cool, like it does, it looks amazing. But we spend so much time in it in the end that I'm just like, all right. I just kind of got bored in the third act. And the third act shouldn't be boring. The third act should be like, this is ramping up. But I just feel like it chugs along slowly when it should be exciting at the end.
I think that the movie, The Faculty, kind of does this whole thing in a way better. You know what I mean? Like
I don't, because I haven't seen that since freaking high school.
Like it feels like it's Robert Rodriguez, so it's well directed.
I wanna watch that
but
again.
it's like it's a CW version of this. It's like instead of being like a 50s set piece thing, it's like a modern, looks like a CW show, but obviously better because Robert Rodriguez is fucking amazing. It's not an original concept, obviously, as a remake, but I mean, it's like we've seen it a million times.
Yep.
And I just like, this is my favorite version of it because of how cartoony it is and how surreal and just how blatant the sets are. Like it feels like a movie from another time, and I feel like this is in my personal feelings, this is the same as Thing from Another Planet and The Thing. I think of these as similar qualities of remakes, and I think that this movie will have a cultural reevaluation over time. I think people are going to see this movie in the future, and it's going to be reappraised as being better than it, like, because this was like considered a garbage movie when it came out.
Yeah, it flopped too.
It flopped hard, and people were like making fun of everything about it and misunderstanding it on a lot of levels, exactly like The Thing. I mean, The Thing was like, people did not understand it when it came out. They watched
the Carpenter one.
Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't get it, and like I think Leonard Maltin said it was terrible, and like Siskel and Ebert said it was terrible, and
Maltin's a dummy anyway.
I mean, they're all dummies, but but same deal. It's like this is a bonkers movie, and if you like bonkers movies, you should watch it.
Yeah.
And I say watch the original too, because it's really fun.
Nope, I definitely don't regret watching this. It definitely had things that I didn't jive with, but as a whole, like, I'm glad I watched it finally. Like,
yeah, It's true, and I think your problem with the Army people is just them sticking too close to the '50s version, where it's like
and
a bunch of weird GI Joes like getting mobilized.
Yeah,
yeah.
Again, it's just one of those things. I don't know why. It's just it's just a cinema turnoff for me. Like we were talking about when I watched Goodfellas for the first time, and it's like. I didn't like it because it was a me problem. Like, I don't like gangsters, and I don't like drug movies. And then that one was just like, here's a gangster movie. And in the third act, we're going to turn into a drug movie. I was like, I fucking hate this shit.
Okay.
And then this one was just like, we turned into an Army Man movie. Like, man. So it's like, I can't fault the movie for it. But.
I'd still give you a devil's advocate to your defense of the movie, which is that Army guys are inherently boring.
Yes.
Cinematically, because literally you're talking about people who are wearing camouflage. They're trying to look as much like the background scenery. In movies, you want things that pop and come forward.
Yeah.
And these guys literally are dressed specifically to blend in with the background.
Yep.
And they're all dressed the same. So
there's nothing visually stunning or...
It's like... When Aliens made all of their amazing characters that are some of the most memorable film characters in history, they didn't dress them all the same.
Yeah, imagine if they did.
They gave them all the ability to look completely different.
Yep.
So that you visually had an idea.
They G.I. Joe'd them.
Yes. Exactly. They G.I. Joe'd them from the 80s as opposed to G.I. Joeing them from the 50s.
That's what I mean.
Or 60s,
Yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's like, one's got to be Snake Eyes. Like, that's what they should have done. They should have had a fucking special forces with, like, we got Zartan showing up or something.
That would have been great. Like, again, if the Army general they went to was just like, I've got a crack team. It became like an A-team thing where he was already Jesse Ventura in a leopard print hat, and he's like, hold on, let me get my
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bill Dukes, and
I mean, to be realistic, we're not gonna get that, but like if he
Shane
had
Black,
if he had like a secret squad of 5 quirky dudes that came in, I would have taken the 5 quirky dudes over the 500 Army men.
Holy
in a
shit,
second.
that is so much better.
Yeah.
We've got to, even
if he went rogue, he was just like, man, I can't have my army men. Like you said, it's a treaty. I can't have my army men go on the.
Yep.
But luckily, I've got this
Luckily,
crackpot team. Yeah.
I like the idea that they're a crackpot team as opposed to a crack team.
Yeah.
But I think that's good. I think that would be good. Like
the crack team's a B team.
Right. That they're totally wackadoos.
Yes.
That it's like a bunch of like totally out there conspiracy theorist nuts.
Yeah.
And they're all like
armed.
Yeah, they're all armed to the teeth, and it's like, oh yeah, we can't have them in the regular army, but they're really good at what they do, and they're all just totally bonkers. Oh, so much better.
To have a Snake Eyes ninja chopping up meatballs with his sword. I mean, yeah, I know I'm asking for the world at this point.
Yeah, you really are.
If the world is Snake Eyes chopping meatballs with sword.
But you know what's funny? You know those G.I. Joe movies that barely worked, that like made for
I never seen them.
Vaguely boring action films that you're like, they were okay. You could just do this. You could put them into other movies. Like, why wouldn't you just take those colorful, wacky characters and be like, there's aliens.
Fight these meatballs.
Perfect. People don't want war movies. People don't like the mention of war and these sorts of things in movies because it reminds them of terrible things. I got a great idea. Aliens.
Yep.
Fuck it.
Presto.
Have them fight aliens. Boo.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, that's my opinion. I welcome yours.
Yep, and you got mine.
Copyright Fred Nutter, 1982.
Fred.
That's a regionalism that only people from this 50-mile radius will understand.
And if you're an old.
Really? Was he anywhere else if you were old?
What?
Fred Nutter? Oh.
Fred Nutter's been dead for years. So.
Oh, yes, that's true. But I mean, he was only regional. Like he.
Oh yeah, no, it was on our station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Channel 6?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, he's been dead for that. He was there when I started back in 2004. So.
Jesus. Yes, he would always sign off with.
That's our opinion. We welcome yours. R.I.P. Fred.
Oh, we love you, Fred. Anyway, thank you for listening. You should support us by going to Coast City Comics, which is the comics shop that we're filming this in and we're recording this in, that we both work at.
Yeah.
And
you can buy things here online, or you can come into the store and buy things here and say hi to us.
If you like comics, you can do that, and that supports us and helps us. You can buy t-shirts, you can buy toys, but we also have things that are movie appropriate. You can buy Blu-rays from us. We have that kind of stuff on the site. Most of the movies that we cover, I try to carry those in the store, so you can order those online. We also do movie soundtracks, and we do horror. We do punk rock and metal stuff. So there's all that kind of stuff. We do skateboards if you do skating.
You like toys? I put like 9 different versions of Jason on the shelf today.
We got so many Jasons.
Yeah, I think you went too hard on the Jasons.
I might have gone a little too hard.
You know
on the
what?
Jasons.
I wish you could order like a variety pack. You know what I mean? Does NECA do that? Can you do that?
They don't do variety packs.
Just give me one of each.
No,
Instead, we got like 6-part 4s, 6-part 5s.
8. A lot of those were like 8 cases of 8. But yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of those.
We got a lot of Jasons. Buy some fucking Jasons, because there is no more room on the shelf.
Oh, that part 7 Jason is sweet, and it comes with the buzzsaw. The fucking hedge trimmer.
We got an ultimate Pinhead toy in today.
Yeah,
that looks great.
Oh,
I was kind of shocked how good the pins look in that. I was wondering how they even make that.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how they make them look so good, but they do a great job. NECA is amazing. NECA, honestly, if you're ever like, I want to buy toys, but I don't want to support a scumbag company, NECA, they're the best. They treat independent retailers really well. They like give us deals that they make sure are commensurate with like Target and Walmart. Like, they are awesome. So
cool.
Yeah, support those guys and support us at coastcitycomics.com.
Yeah.
Our prices are pretty good. If you spend $40, we'll give you free shipping
and maybe a sticker.
Yeah, we might even give you a free sticker. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, next week we got some special stuff coming up. Bobby Knipe's gonna be on next week.
That's right. Oh God, we gotta prepare for that.
Yeah, that's all you.
I gotta
engineer.
Oh God, I gotta learn how to do stuff. Okay.
We got Bobby Knipe coming on the show next week to talk about his new movies, and after that, we got Jackie Kong's coming to town.
Yes. So we got to figure all that stuff out.
Quite the crazy get. Yeah, let's figure out how to do things good so we don't look like total dildos when she shows up.
Yeah, that'll be weird. Okay, anyway. All right, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Good night.